Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Darryl. We are here for a brand new round of What Would Doctor Darryl Do, which is something that I've been doing since the beginning of this, but I stopped doing it. I never really stopped doing it. I just merged things a little bit. Was we had our AO Scanner Simplified course that was how many weeks? Like 18 weeks, something like that. And we finally finished with that, sort of. I mean, we'll never really be finished with it because there's probably a whole new course coming after Day of Discovery. Because I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of new additions and things that we're going to have to go over and cover, and things that weren't in the scanner, or the scanner might change. There might be new reports. There might be there's going to be new modules. There's always new modules, right? And so that will most likely get a nice facelift at the end of September, going into October and the end of the year. But when I completed the initial phase of that class, I started doing just a couple of extra classes a month about the scanner, and then I switched over to energy because everybody didn't use AO scanner. Good number of the people inside of the membership have no concept of what that is, and so we shifted it to where we're talking about energy, and we do that every Monday, right? And so I just decided to take the AO scanner class, question and answer, and merge it with what would Dr. Darryl do, and then there we go. And about a week and a half ago, I realized that I need more classes, or I want to do more classes. It's just this urge in me to kind of gather together as a group, as a tribe, talk to one another, and see what people are experiencing that might need some assistance or help. And so I decided to do at least two What Would Dr. Darryl Do again each month. So some of you weren't even around when I did What Would Dr. Darryl Do. And What Would Dr. Darryl Do it's a real simple concept. It's a play on words. It's a silly name. But what we do is we bring people on and you tell us what's going on, and I give you my snapshot analysis of how I would handle that thing, how I would handle that situation, if I know it. If it's something I don't know about, then I won't pretend like I do. Sometimes we can walk each other through how we might support that. But I'm not even going to have, I'm not going to have someone saying my volume is low. Let me just look. Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm looking at it in the system, and it looks like a pretty decent one there. Anyway, what would Dr. Darryl do is specifically designed for you to give your things of what's going on, and then allow me to respond to it and just see whether or not I can give you some concept of how I would handle that. All right. Now, I'm coming up to two major conventions. One is the Solex convention, which is in like a week and a half. Wait, today is Tuesday. So in 2 weeks in Utah. And then I have a week where I'm not in a conference. And then I have another week where I'm in a optimal health systems conference. So September is crazy. It's been crazy for me for the last few months, for the last few years. And it's not going to be any worse this year. I hear that it's going to ease up next year because I hear I'm not going to have those conferences back to back. But knowing me, I'll fill it with something else. One of the reasons why I wanted to do this was you're free to ask whatever you want to ask. You're free to ask whatever you want to ask. But the fact that I'm coming up to these two conferences that are so focused made me, my responses might be in reference to energy medicine or in reference to supplementation. Those are the main ways that I support. All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to either raise your hand, go down to React and click the hand raise and raise your hand, and I'll bring you on here. Or you can type questions inside of our chat. And if you do, then type QQ first. So I'm going to do one quick thing, though, before we move any further. And I'm going to check my volume from a different area. All right. Yeah, I might be able to help with that. Hopefully this is better. I've just raised it up from a different system. Now, if that doesn't work, we're kind of screwed because I ran out of options. So I hope that that's for those of you who are hearing us. I hope that's better. Thank you. Good. All right, people are saying that it's better. We do have guests, so I want everybody who are in our virtual classroom to behave yourselves, because we've opened this one up to YouTube, and so some people are able to eavesdrop in on YouTube. All right, so let's just get started to see whether or not anyone has any questions that they'd like to start us off with. Either type them in the chat or raise your hand and you can come on, and I will see whether or not there's some way that I can offer you some support. Oh man, on one of these things my audio is too high now, but I will adjust that. All right, Ronnie, kick us off here. Go ahead and unmute. Not able to unmute there? Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Hey.
Okay, so I'll just close my thing. Yeah. Okay, so what are my question? Good morning, Dr. Darryl. My question is, I tend to quite often, for quite a while, get this on my inner voice when I do my inner voice, and I got it today again, so it reminded me. It says, avoid secondhand smoke and breathe cleaner air. Now, I find that really interesting because I live 5 minutes from the beach and I don't smoke, I don't do any of those things. So I'm wondering, what is that? Is there something underlying which brings that up?
I don't think so. When it comes to suggestions inside of inner voice, I think that the suggestions there are meant to give you an idea of things that you can do to help with the conditions that are showing on the scan. Meaning, I don't think that the suggestions there are frequencies that you didn't come up well in. I think that if there are things happening with the lungs where the lungs are not resonating properly, if there are things that are happening with the respiratory system in general, I think that you're looking at what would support that. I don't think that aspect of it is a specific frequency to you. I could be wrong about that, but I do not believe that. And I base that off of all of my readings of the scans, and they tend to come up when the same things are coming up. Meaning, if you see that there's going to be something in your scan, I'm sure, that has respiratory or lungs or breathing or something like that, and it's designed to support that.
Right. Okay. I'll look into it further then, because that always bothered me when I saw that and thought, good time to ask the question.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that's my read. But if you come up with something else, I'm all ears. All right. Let's go over here to Kathy. Please unmute.
I am unmuted.
Hey.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Good.
I'm excited.
Good.
So,
Kathy and Ronnie have both been around long enough to remember when What Would Dr. Darryl Do was just a regular part of this whole thing.
oh, I love What Would Doctor Darryl Do. I was glad. I didn't know you were having it, and I saw you do a really nice job of sending out emails and texts and that kind of stuff, and I happened to look down and went, there's a Dr. Darryl in 10 minutes.
Hey, there you go. I appreciate
I
that.
banished him to the other room. So, just a couple things. I'm getting my website done and looking at different things. Do you happen to know where I can find an AO scan logo? Like, I've seen it on places where they've got the little TM on there. I mean, I've just typed it out, should I have, since it is AO scan referring to a particular thing, should I have that, or am I making too big a deal?
No, it is an interesting thing that you would say that or ask that question, because just yesterday I was looking, I'm not joking, just yesterday I was looking at AO Scanner's rules. Let me see if I can pull up, because they had something in relation to just that thing that you're asking.
Really?
Yeah, and I just happened to
I
stumble
don't
upon
know
it.
where that is.
All right, let me see if I can find that.
Okay.
All right. All right, I found the booklet. Let me quickly see if I can find that section. I'm not looking for it in order to prove a point. I don't remember what it said, but I know that what you just asked was addressed.
Oh, okay. Is that someplace I should look?
Yeah, it was found on the website, but I don't remember exactly where.
Okay.
But I can make this available to everybody.
I probably should look at that.
But it is a yeah, because I am sitting here trying my best to find it, I'm not going to be able to. But
I can,
from what I remember, it was specifically telling you that you can use these in trade shows, and you can use the logo in trade shows. Let me just do a quick search of this and see. Yes, page 15. All right, hold on. I'm almost there.
okay.
Hmm. Sorry if this is boring for people, but I think that it is. It's important. All right, let's look at this together. See if I can pull this up. All right. So I'm just gonna read a little bit of this because it might be too low for you all to really see it. I can zoom in a little bit. Hold on. Quantum Living advocates may display and promote Solex technology platform and or sell Solex products at trade shows, professional expositions, swap meets, garage sales, flea markets, and farmers markets. All right, I guess that particular part of it doesn't necessarily talk about using the logo. But I think that there was something in there that said you could use the logo. And what I will do is, are we, can we can't drop files in the chat here, can we? We can only drop links, I think.
I think you're right.
Okay. All right. Well, this was found in the back office. So everybody
Oh,
who is a QLA has access to this. It's right in the back office. And
okay.
there was a recent update. It's just so interesting that you would ask that question because I was looking through this literally just last night.
Yeah, I should look through that because I am going to use it in a trade show and I'm developing my website, which I hope to publish by the end of the week.
Yeah.
And getting excited about that. So, um, okay. So one thing that I was looking for something else in um, Cephi, and in the AO tunes section, they've got all these different things, chakras and frequencies and stuff, and it tells what I was looking for was the earth frequency of, I saw it out of video. I think it said 7.83 was an earthing frequency, and I was looking for that if any of the stuff um, in AO tunes had that, which they didn't. But have they always had the section where it says something like spiritual something that had, I don't know how to pronounce this word, pineal or pineal gland? It had pineal gland and three different spiritual awakening
That's not ringing a
AO.
bell to me. And
I've never seen it before.
I will tell you this, over the last few days, I've logged into the AO scanner and sometimes I've seen things that wasn't there before and I've seen things that looked different. I've created Cephi playlists for clients and they came back to tell me that the things aren't there anymore. So I think
Oh,
that there's a lot of shifting that's happening. We're coming up to Day of Discovery and this always happens. Sometimes you get hints of new things or nuances of things and then they're testing them and then they pull them back and they never mention it. So you may have stumbled upon that. That's not something that I am thinking about. Now, Josie is saying it's under AO Tune.
right.
Maybe, now, Josie, is it new though? Because what you're saying isn't something that I am familiar with. So I don't know.
I
Um,
don't know.
yeah,
So the related question with that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to step on
no,
you.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Um, so part of what I'm going to do with this fair that I'm doing, this trade show that I'm doing, is I'm going to have wellness kits, like we had talked about in one of your classes, to do wellness kits. And so I'm going to have different things available for sale. And then I wondered if that would be a good thing to do stickers on. I mean, I know there's a process to open up your pineal gland, but I'm thinking that might be something people could use in support of that process. Would that be, what do you think about imprinting that on stickers?
Imprinting what exactly?
The pineal gland from AO Tunes. It says there's the imprint section on there, and I can imprint the AO Tunes into the sticker.
Well, I don't think that printing anything on stickers is a bad idea, but I think that for something like that, you would have to be able to or willing to explain it. Now, if I remember everything about what you're doing properly, you're going to a metaphysical type of a conference anyway, right? So you're dealing with people who are already open to that. So then,
Right.
in from that instance, you might not have to sell it in that way. Not, when I say sell it, I'm talking about explain it, get over objections. They either will want it or they won't want it, and they'll understand the idea of energy and frequency. So let me just take back what I was about to say, and to say that the problems that most people would have, you probably won't have at the conference that you're doing. It's a good idea overall, but in most settings, it would need a deeper explanation. But I think you, in the setting that you're looking at, I think that you would avoid that. I think you'd be fine.
Okay. And even though it's a tune, I can still imprint it on a sticker.
As long as it's something there that said if it says imprint, then yeah, you can imprint it on whatever you want.
They imprint, yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then the last question I have is, my husband read somewhere or something about using earbuds with inner voice. That they said that earbuds will pick up frequencies from other places other than what you're, if I'm understanding what he said, that they'll pick up things from other places, and that the frequencies that you're listening to with the earbuds are distorted and aren't what you think they are. Do you know anything about that?
I don't know what that specific thing is. However, let's put that into some real context here. Earbuds usually use Bluetooth technology to work these days, unless they're wired. And if they're using Bluetooth technology, then they are susceptible to whatever is going on in the air. And that same reality would be the case if you used over-the-ear headphones that were Bluetooth, that were not wired. Now, even though you are susceptible to that, I've never seen an instance of it happening, not in modern times. You know, a long time ago, with wireless headphones, they used radio waves. And so when you're using radio waves, you're not connected to a specific thing. And so you're more susceptible to whatever is floating around on the air that is resonating on that frequency. And so you would pick up radio stations and television stations and things like that, because they share a frequency. But with Bluetooth, you're connected to a thing. And that's the only, thing that's coming back. I say all of that to say that is not a concern that I would ever have.
Okay.
It's so low on the totem pole of things. That's like saying, and I'm being dramatic here, but that's like saying, I'm not gonna fly because an earthquake might happen as the plane is touching down, and then the ground will shake. Theoretically, that's possible. However, it's so unlikely that it's outside of the realm of what we would be worried about.
All right. Those are all my questions. Thank you very much.
All right, you are very welcome. All right, someone asked the name of the document in the back office. It is called Solex Statement of Policy, and the one that I am reading is August 13th, 2025. Apparently, there's a bunch. All right. 1 second, Tanaj. I'm coming to you. Let me come back over here to comments for a second. All right. Joe says, in body systems report, it always suggests some Solex supplements. I have them in my supplements. However, they never come up in the quick scan supplement recommendations. Should I take them away? I have my supplements as well as Solex and homeopathics in my supplement category. I do have the category selected when I do a quick scan. I hope that makes sense. What would Dr. Darryl do? the first thing Dr. Darryl would do is ignore the body system scan completely. That's what Dr. Darryl would do. So the body systems scan, for any of you who might be somewhat new here, from my vantage point, is a gold mine the moment you realize that there's an area of your body that's out of balance. So if you find out that your circulatory system is out of balance and you know this, you have blood issues, you have heart issues, your circulatory system is kaput, then that particular scan will give you clues and keys of your weaknesses in that area so you can start looking at things and know what to work through. All right? So let's say, and I'm going to assume that Cheryl has not taken my body systems class, and maybe she hasn't, forgot, but I know that there's enough people who are either in here or watching on YouTube or who will watch this later who have not taken my body systems class. And I'm going to quickly, and I mean quickly, go through this when they explain to you what I'm talking about, because people have told you, look at that body systems report. I'm probably the first person to tell you to stay away from that body systems report. Do your body system scan, optimize yourself, but stay away from the report. So let's look at a body systems report. It has, I believe, 4 or 6 things in each category. For those of you who've heard me say this over and over, just tune out for a second. I have to get this out of the way. I forgot the number, but it's 4, 5, or 6 things in each little category of each scan. And you always have that number in each category in each scan. So just follow my logic. If we were to determine that everything you see in all of your body system scan is indicative of what's wrong with you, you might as well either cash in your insurance policy or make sure that your loved ones know where it is, because you are going to die if all of those things are actually wrong with you. You're out of here. You don't even have time. I won't see you at Dev Discovery. You're not gonna make the next family reunion. Don't quit your job. What are you doing? If all of those things are wrong with you, you have no business doing anything but enjoying your final 3 days, because that's about all you got, right? But the algorithm is set so that it has to give you that many things in each category. And anytime, it doesn't matter whether it's the AO scanner or any other biofeedback device or really anything, if a system is set to always show you these things, you can't look at them as problems. Because how do you explain that when everything is working well, when everything is perfect? You still have all of these things going on? So the way to look at body systems scan from my perspective is you're looking at potential weaknesses that your body shows to the circulatory system and in the hormonal system and in the endocrine system. You're looking at weaknesses, and the moment you find out that that system is in play, that is when you go and see what your weaknesses are to determine whether or not those weaknesses are manifesting themselves. Now, the proof of that would be if everything were in perfect array, then each one of your body system scan, or at least some of them, would come back with nothing. Or instead of 5 things or 6 things, they would come back with 1 thing or 2 things. But that never happens. The system has to give you these things. And because the system has to give you these things, that is evidence in my mind that you cannot look at them as factual, in play problems. However, the moment that you know that the digestive system is in trouble, then the digestive system report in the scanner will give you areas and clues of your weaknesses. For example, and I promise I'm done, and I haven't even answered your question, because I do have an answer for your question. This ain't it, but you need to understand how I feel about body systems scan in general. Damn it, I forgot what I was about to say. I was on a roll and I just interrupted myself. But you know what? Maybe that's because it was time for me to stop. But going but going back to your actual question. What was the question? Hold on, let me look at it. I get on my tangents and I forget where I'm at. Should I tell? Oh, the Solex supplementation. All right. So, with that being said, I would not look at supplements as anything other than if you were to have Solex's, I forget the name of it, but the supplement that has niacin in it. The red supplement. I forget because I utilize other supplements. But if that were to come up inside of the circulatory system, pulse, thank you, Josie. If that were to come up inside of the circulatory system, that would show you that what's in that might be great to deal with these genetic predispositions. And that's what I was going to say earlier, or just a minute ago when I lost my train of thought. If you were to be a person that either has blood sugar issues or have diabetes or those things, what happens when your numbers are perfect? You still are probably genetically predisposed to having a weak pancreas and the inability to balance blood sugar in a perfect way. So on some blood tests or some other metabolic medical scans, you're still going to show that these things are in play for you. Pancreas is in play. Blood sugar balances is in play. Even though your blood sugar might be perfect, you may have done everything to harmonize it. And utilizing the same logic, the moment you found out that you have a genetic predisposition for something, you would start treating it. And that's not what we do. When our blood sugar is balanced, when our cholesterol is balanced, even though we might have a predisposition to circulatory issues or heart issues, we don't start taking medication if we have everything balanced. Now, we are leaning towards a world where medication will be forced on people regardless, because that's the area that they want you in. But that's how I see body systems. I see it as something that gives you suggestions of your weaknesses in each area, and it's only valid when you know that the area is in play. So, I personally would look at the suggestion if that area were in play, and I would determine whether or not I wanted to use that one or wanted to use something similar, because no other supplementation is going to come up there. From the standpoint of finding out what your body needs, that's where muscle testing or quick scan is a form of muscle testing. And you can make yourself nice, neat categories and put all of the things in there that have to do with heart and all of the things that has to do with lungs and liver, and put them in different categories and then just run them to see what your body is resonating with at that time, because no other supplements have a chance of coming up there. So you might have Pulse show up as a great something that resonates with you, and it might not even be resonating with you, but it might resonate with that concept. But when you do your quick scan or your easy scan, it doesn't come up, because now you are stacking it with other things and your scan is showing you what resonates better. And to Solex's credit, when you go into quick scan, it does not prioritize Solex's supplements in that area. And so that is where you get to have an idea of what's happening at the top level overall. All right. I am so sorry. It's 7:30 or half hour after, and I keep telling myself I'm not going to go on these tangents. I keep saying that I'm not going to do it, but I am, it seems to be impossible for me. All right. So Cheryl, first thing that I would do is start ignoring body systems until you know for sure that something's in play. All right. Tanaj is driving. I hope that I do not make her get a ticket or anything like that, but go ahead and unmute, ma'am. Can't do it. All right, she's coming.
Okay, hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good.
Loving your tangents, you're making me crack up. Question is, as a practitioner, you have clients that have their own AO scan, correct? Because I believe I've heard you say that before. Okay.
A lot. I have a lot
How
who
do
have their own
you-
scanner.
Okay, so then how do you keep yourself being a person of value to them if they have their own AO scanner? Like, what are you good for at that point?
I am sure.
Help me figure this out.
I am good for telling them which scans to run, when to run them, adding my email address into their system so that when they send the reports, they come to me, and then absolving them from the need to try to obsessively analyze their scans. And then when we meet, we go over what I have pulled from their scans to determine playlists, infoceuticals, supplements, and these things that emotional ties stop you from being able to do for yourself very often. And again, many people, you don't even need to be doing those things. People are looking at their scans and looking and trying to pick about every little nuanced thing. So when I meet with my clients, I've studied their 2 weeks worth of scans, and I've come up with a protocol that they then utilize for 2 more weeks. So I'm looking at the frequency mismatches or imbalances that their body is experiencing, and I'm giving them ideas of how to correct those frequency mismatches, while at the same time providing them with nutrition for supplements. And we're looking at just continuously balancing the body from every direction for a larger goal. So whatever it is that they're trying to do, if they're trying to lose weight, if they're trying to get over a disease or an illness, get healthy, whatever it is. But that's what we're doing. I'm just taking one part of it off my plate, meaning if they don't have the scanner, I have to run the scans, but I would have to read the reports anyway. I just don't have to physically press the buttons.
Got it. Okay. And is it different, the frequency that you meet with a client that has their own scanner versus one that does not?
No. The wait. What do you mean by frequent? You mean do I meet with them at different rates?
Yes, because you said
No.
for this one it's like every 2 weeks.
No.
So
My
the difference there.
program with clients is we meet every 2 weeks. And if they don't have their own scanner, then they send voice notes in order for me to run their inner voice reports and send it back to them.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was it? That was easy.
Yeah, that was it.
All right. All right. Let me look over here and see whether or not there are any more questions. I'm gonna pull up a client report in a minute. All right. Cheryl says, I appreciate your answer. I'm new to AO. Excited to be at your Day of Discovery class. Cheryl, I'm excited to have you. I'm looking forward to that. I am looking forward to that. For those of you all who don't know, I am teaching a Before Day of Discovery class in Utah. You can find tickets to that. We still have some over at drdarrylwellness.com. It will be Thursday, September 11th. What time are we starting? 2 o'clock is when we actually start. I think 1:30 is registration for those who are already registered. And we're going until 7. But it's me talking. So do you really think we're going to end at 7? I'm going to try to end at 7. And for those of you all who are going to be there, if you need to leave at 7, it's all right. I understand. I'm going to try to end at 7. But am I really going to end at 7? Is it really going to be done at 7? Probably not. But I think we only paid for the room until like 9, so I can't go that much longer. All right, whoever this is on the Samsung, hold on just one moment. I would get to you. I do see another question over here typed out. All right, so this person who I'm coming to needs the link for the liver kidney supplement. I will get you that in 1 second. Josie says, you've mentioned before that you don't charge separately for each service, like the hub, inner voice, PMF mat, etc. What would you mind sharing the structure of your pricing? What does a typical visit or session with you include? Well, one of the things that I've learned about pricing is it really kind of depends on, when I say it depends, I'm not saying your actual price doesn't change, but I'm saying that the dollar amount shocks some people, and other people, they're like, oh, it's no big deal. So depending on where you are physically in the country or the world, and where you are in your practice, and where you are in your confidence, to be able to comfortably charge your own worth. So because of that, I'm going to leave the dollar amount out. But I want to explain why I do what I do. Because from my vantage point, and I've seen practices where, oh, this costs $35 for this visit. This costs $50. Oh, well, we need to add this on. That's going to cost another $15. That's going to cost another $20. If I decide that my client needs an inner voice scan, an easy scan, they need time on the PEMF mat, they need to be under the rain. If I decide that they need to do all of these things each time, if they are looking at it from a dollar amount, they then naturally, and I would do the same thing, I would naturally say, well, how much is that PEMF? Oh, that's another $60. I think I can get away with that. I'll just put my feet on the ground and earth. Well, what is that rain again? How much is that? Why is it worth that dollar amount? All right, I'm going to skip all of that. Just give me the inner voice. How can you have separate pricing for different modalities and then not expect the person paying to make decisions for not just their own health, but what matches their own budget? So from my vantage point, when the budget is clear, it's what it is. It costs this amount per visit. And whatever I need to do during that hour or during that hour and a half, whatever it is that I think you need is covered under that dollar amount. That removes the idea that the person can make choices based off of what their budget is that month or what their budget is that day. The fact that they want to go out and eat afterwards. So if I can save another $35 here, then I can go to a better restaurant. It removes that entire concept from the scenario. And so the only concept when someone is seeing me is whether or not they can afford either the visit or the package or both. And if they've decided that they can afford that, then we've taken away all of the extra issues that come out when you start line iteming things. Now, that's not going to work in every practice. For me, it works because I have an hour that I spend with each person, regardless. So, regardless to what we're going to do, we're going to get it done in an hour. Maybe we might go over a few extra minutes, but in 90 minutes, there's another client that's coming in, so we have to get done prior to that. And so I don't want to sit there and wonder whether or not I'm going to have to hit them with an additional charge. And I don't want them wondering whether or not they can skip the PEMF session this week in order to save themselves some money. So what does a typical visit look like with me? At some point, I'm going to be recording one just so people can see, but I'll give you a synopsis or a walkthrough. Someone walks into my area, and if they have to pee, at that point, then there's always a urine cup in the bathroom. I do a urine sample because I test it. And then I bring them into my treatment room. And the first thing that they do is they walk up to the computer and they speak into the mic. The moment that they walk in, and I'm getting an inner voice, but I'm really doing the easy scan. And so that part is done. Now they're doing their thing. Then they lay down on the mat. I do auriculotherapy. I treat the ear points. And so I have this little device that I use to go around the ear and treat specific points. And then I put them under a hub session. Now, for most people, they're getting a modified version of that. It's very similar to the way I did brain tap. They only get like 10 or 11 minutes. I am not trying to reprogram necessarily a specific thing. If they're dealing with abuse, substance abuses or things like that, then it's a different type of visit. But normally they're under there for about 10 or 11 minutes. And I'm just trying to rewire the neurotransmitters. And sometimes I'm utilizing lasers on hand and foot points while they're doing that. And I have the terahertz wand on the bottom of the feet. So we're bringing in energy on the bottom of the feet. We are, and we're balancing the brain. That's the way that I use the lights on the hub. I use it as a brain balancer. And I also put other music in. It's a little complicated what I do. I don't do a typical hub session. But I'm going to eventually start explaining that next year, though, not this year. And so they're on that mat for about 20 minutes total. And then, I skipped something. I get their spinal cord going utilizing this device called the rapid release. It's creating a flow of energy up and down the spine while I have a laser on the brainstem area, and then they go over to the mat. Then they head back over to a chair, and they either sit underneath the rain or they put their feet on a PEMF device that I use to bring energy into the body via the PEMF. And while they are on that device, they're waking up because they were on the hub. And normally they're in a daze when they first get up, and they don't even want to get up. And so as they're waking up, we're making their next appointment. We're talking then about things that might need to change about their plan, and we are dealing with maybe some supplement changes. And then I make their next appointment, and I kind of have it down, and they're right on out the door. I get them out in about an hour. At a certain point, I do let them know if there was any irregularities happening inside of the urine. So that is what a typical session looks like with me. All right. Whoever that was on the Samsung, I'm sorry for going on so long that you had to put your hand down. But if you're still here, feel free to put it back up. All right. Mary says, I'm so excited to be in your class in Utah. You know, it is really breathtaking to me how many of you all jumped on that, and we're going to really get to spend time in person in Utah. It's pretty cool to me. All right. Sorry, Mary. I'm so excited to be in your class in Utah. So glad I decided to arrive early. Thanks. In the comprehensive scan combined, how would you, Dr. Darryl, explain the percentage numbers in each category? Well, the percentage numbers in the comprehensive section talk about how stressed the area is or the category is. The percentage is the percentage of stress. Lauren and others have said we want to keep that under 40%, or but this not keep it under 40%. We start looking at it more deeply when it's 40% or over. That is a lot of stress for one system to be under. And if that continues, then we start looking at that body system more. But that's the way I'm looking at it, is percentage of stress. So you have two percentages. One percentage is prior to optimization, and the other is after optimization. And so hopefully both of them are under 40. And you're going to find, you know, when it comes to scans, the comprehensive scan, I know that I always say, you know, you want to look at trends, right? But the comprehensive scan is, if you start looking at those percentages, it really is spot on with what you or the person is dealing with, even in, you know, especially at that time. I found that out when I first got the scan. My mom was at her worst. She had just had a spinal cord surgery, and her spine was constantly coming up from the skeleton to the connective tissue around the spine. And she has a lot that would show in connective tissue. Like, my mom has connective tissue issues really badly, and they show up. They're not as bad now, but right after that operation, they would show up in every scan, and there would be areas that would be like in the connective tissue area, it would show up at like 70 and 80% stressed. I mean, it was that spot on. It was unbelievable. I've never seen more connectivity or connective tissue stress around the spine than I have with my own mother, and I've never known anybody who has had more of that than my own mother. So again, this aligns with one with the other. All right. I'm not attending Day of Discovery this year. Looking forward to going to Dr. Darryl in his offer 2026. I don't even know what offer. What did I make an offer? Did I make an offer? I think I talked about showing you about practitioner. I will be. So for those of you who are practitioner, I am going to start practitioner training in person in 2026. So maybe that's what she's talking about. We'll see. But yeah, that's definitely coming. All right. what has your experience been with OHS Nutrients RX? Do you use it? You know, Nutrients RX isn't really much different from other blood panels that are run by natural health professionals. The great thing about Nutrients RX is it's being run by the same people that make Optimal Health Systems, and they give you a lot more to work with from the standpoint of explanation. But you can't. I can't say that experiences would be different, because you could take those same things and run it on in a different panel, and then if you know how to read and interpret it. But Nutrients RX takes the same panels and it makes them easier to understand by the practitioner and the client. But the experience from the standpoint of the patient or the client is going to be the same if they take the supplements, and you can go in as a practitioner and change all of that around. So there are too many nuances there to really answer that question. All right. All right, it looks like I have completed all of the questions that were in there, but if I did it, somebody let me know, and let's go to Movita. Please unmute. And if you can't, let me know. All right, there we go. Hey.
Hey, hold on a second.
All right.
Computer issues.
It's all right. We'll work it out.
I figure I have looking at you, but I'm looking at you. Because I have it up on my. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Oh yeah, I have it up on my TV. my laptop is just.
Well, it's not like coming through, like, so it's not providing feedback, at least not on my end.
Okay, good. So my question is, I want to transition to using the packs and OHS.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess what would be the best way to actually do that?
There's a couple of ways. Wait, help me to understand. Are you talking about for yourself, or are you a practitioner?
I am not a practitioner.
So you're talking about for you and like your family.
Yep.
Okay. So there are a few different ways to get started. The easiest way to get started is to go and take the quiz. Do you know about the quiz?
I've done the quiz, yes.
Okay. So when you take that quiz, it will give you supplement suggestions, and then you can take those suggestions or modify those suggestions and make a pack from that. They also have a bunch of MVP packs, where these are packs that are designed around specific goals. So if you're dealing with hormonal issues, if you're dealing with stress, if you're dealing with toxicity, if you have a disease, if you are dealing with if you just need just overall health, there are ready-made packs that you can put yourself on, along with digestive enzymes, and a lot of times Chemzyme is recommended in that. And I'm going to come right back to your question, but I want people who are listening to this to understand, well, why would these packs be beneficial to me? Two reasons. First, they're cheaper. Anytime you can put things and you're taking the bottle out of the scenario, then you aren't being charged by the bottle. If you buy a bottle of this or a bottle of that, depending on how much you use, they're going to run out at different times. And bottles of supplements cost different amounts. Like, for instance, ubiquinol. It's one of the most expensive supplements. I think it's like $90 for a bottle. Well, ubiquinol as a actual capsule costs the same amount inside of a pack. So you save a lot of money. That's part one. Second part, it's very convenient to be able to know exactly when you're going to run out, and to be able to just pick up a pack in the morning and go, and pick up a pack in the evening and go. So now going back to your question. So you could take the quiz. You could pick a specific pack. You could work with a practitioner to try to figure out exactly what you have going on. Or you could take a blood test. And that's where Nutrients RX comes in. If you take that blood test, then you know specifically what nutritional deficiencies are actually being manifested in your system that could then use additional supplementation. Lastly, and this is going to depend on whether or not you have it. Do you have a subscription to the AO scanner?
Yes.
Okay. So for those people who have AO scanner subscriptions, you can go and run your nutrient panel. I would do this as a test, meaning I would run it every day for about a week. Just go in and just choose that. Run it every day for about a week and then see whether or not you are seeing anything come up more than 20% of the time. So just for clarity, at that point, you're looking at the frequency of what is not resonating, but there's a good chance that if the frequency continues to not resonate, that it could be a physical manifestation as well, and then that can also be your key. Or you can use a combination of all of those things.
Okay. That's helpful. Very helpful.
You're welcome, but just find the area, and I always just tell people, just pick one. Just pick one thing that one method, and then take your supplements for 3 to 4 months and see how much better you actually feel. And most people, if they do it faithfully, are going to feel a lot better because they're going to get the nutrition that they want. And again, if you don't know where to start, if people don't know where to start and all of this gets confusing, there are some basics. In fact, I have what's known as Dr. Darryl's Essentials Pack. For those of you who are in our membership, you should be able to find that in the portal in section 1.0. And it has everything that most people need if you're not dealing with anything crazy. All of your vitamins and your D vitamins and your ubiquinol and your mitochondrial support. You know, these are packs that just run the gamut among all of what's needed. For those of you who are in our membership, I believe, and I hope that it's there. If it's not, then I'll go put it there. But that should be in section 1.0 of our portal.
So when you say in the AO scan to run your nutrients, could you explain exactly what you mean by that?
Yes. Oh, hang on a second. Let me pull up the AO scanner and just show you exactly what I mean. But I gotta log in, so give me 1 second. I wasn't logged in. And I gotta make sure I'm on my profile. All right. So this is the AO scanner. I'm going to go down here to the vitals scan, and I'm going to go into vital scan, and I am going to deselect all, and the only thing that I am going to choose, come on, I'm going to go down to nutritional analysis and scan that. I'm only doing one scan, so it's only going to take a second. And I'm going to optimize that.
I'm doing it simultaneously.
And I'm going to go over here to enhance reports. And I'm going to look at what showed up. Well, there are two ways that I could look at this. I could look at this where I'm scrolling through. Because when I'm doing something like this, I want to know what was out of balance prior to optimization and take note of that. So I'm looking at things that were out of balance prior to optimization. But there's a vitamins and enzymes category down here where you have your B's and your A and your C and your D and your E and your K and your beta carotene. And so I'm looking to see what. So CoQ10 is showing up here as a 1. And since this is my scan, this is very interesting. I take CoQ10 almost every day, but in my latest supplement pack, I didn't put it in there. And so here we go. This is a wild thing for me. And it's just because, I take so much of it that I didn't put it in there, but that's not going to happen anymore. So that immediately showed up, but I don't have, so if I really wanted to see this, then I could just go back up here and I can go down to easy scan. And I could go and enhance reports. What it's going to do is the vitals that it's going to show me is going to be the vitals that I just did, which is really just going to be the nutritional analysis. And then this will now show me all of the things that showed up for me both times. This is a quick way to get in there. And so vitamin E, CoQ10, and sulfur. Sulfur is something that is very helpful to have sulfur in your system for your skin. And I have had a couple of skin issues that have been going on for the last couple of weeks. So I find that interesting as well. But that's not, Movita's asking a specific question. I didn't just turn this all about me. So what I would do if I wanted to use the scanner from that perspective is I would do that every day for about a week. And then I would take note of everything that showed up. So, right, I would just make a note like today. This was day one. I would put sulfur, CoQ10, and vitamin E. And then the next day, I would write down whatever came up. But if sulfur, CoQ10, and vitamin E came up again, I would just put a check mark next to it. And just keep doing that. And then see at the end of the week, what do you have that's check marks? Because everything else just came, one time. So what do you have as check marks? And so those things that are check marks are definitely going to make my pack if I'm choosing this method. And then if I still need other concept of what might be out of place, then I might go back to that original view just to see whether or not anything continues to show up that was out of balance at first, but it was able to be optimized. That's something to look at as well. Why? My body understands the frequency, and when given the frequency, it can come back into balance, but why does it keep being out of balance? Maybe we need to look at that. And I will tell you this, and I'm sorry for going on these rants. One of the things that we might really want to consider is once we determine what we think our body needs, go ahead and take that and don't continue to analyze it, because until it's time to do it again, because while you're taking, let's say that I really, for whatever reason, needed some vitamin A, but it didn't show up here. But then it starts showing up later. When I give my body the strength that it needs by giving it the vitamin E, the CoQ10, and maybe homeopathic sulfur or maybe actual sulfur, if I'm really going to lean in that direction, all these things are doing is giving the body the energy that it needs to heal. We put too much emphasis on the specific thing, and that's good to do, to put emphasis on the specific thing. But when you're feeding your body, let's just talk about food. If I feed my body brown rice and asparagus and broccoli and carrots and spinach, I might not eat other vegetables, but I'm grabbing enough mineral and nutrition from that for my body to take and do with it what it needs to do, and it can heal itself. And that's all you're trying to do. That's all you're trying to do is give your body the ability to heal itself. So anyway.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. All right. There are a couple more questions. I do want to say before we go on, I am going to pull up a client scan in a second. So it is the top of the hour. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If you have to go, thank you for joining us. The archive will be inside of the portal. It's also going to be on, this one was streamed live, so it'll be on YouTube. But we're not getting out of here in an hour. I will probably be here another 15 or 20 minutes at least, because I see a couple more questions, and then I'm going to go over to my to one of the things that I wanted to do regardless. All right. All right, hold on. Where are we at? All right, here we are. Well, I love that. So much better than charging extra for this and that. Yes, Josie, that's my concept. All right, Tanara says, do you see the need to run other labs now that Nutrients RX has expanded? I make those decisions based off of the person. However, I'll say this, because Tanara is a practitioner. Sometimes people don't want to do a program, and they don't want to go through all of these things. They just want to know where they're deficient. And sometimes more labs are necessary, especially when people are sick. But sometimes, you really can't discount the power of knowing what's going on in the blood. It's not a matter of pushing it on people either. There are some people that's A, the thing that they respect the most, and B, they're not coming to you to do a package or to really have you work on them. They just want to know what their nutritional deficiencies are. They don't trust that metaphysical stuff. They don't trust that woo-woo crap that you're into, but they trust blood. They trust what the person in the white robe is saying. They trust that person that comes in and sticks them in the arm and pulls that stuff out. Don't mock those people. utilize what they trust and let them get well. Who cares? If you have a method that can get them well, utilize it. And you don't have to utilize every method on every person. For if you are an energy person, I'll take my daughter. My daughter doesn't want anything to do with needles. So she's going to choose energy every time. Some people don't want anything to do with energy. They're going to choose blood every time. Neither one of them are right. Neither one of them are wrong. Energy resonates with my daughter. Blood resonates with other people. And fortunately, we have both. All right. I think everyone has microplastics and could benefit from Chemzyme from OHS. Do you ever recommend the plastic test or recommend the supplement? I don't recommend the plastic test, not because I am against the plastic test. I just recommend the supplement for exactly the reason you said. Everybody's got the microplastics. Now, I will say this. There are some people, oh, sorry about that, Kathy. There are some people who want to know what their blood levels are. That's a valid thing too. And if they want to know that, it is so cool to have that right inside of there so that you can show them. And then they got to take another one so they can see how it compared. Can you tell us how to reuse links to packs we create as HPs so we can put a link on a website? That's a little too complicated for me to deal with here. Reach out to me privately, Tanaj, in an email or on Facebook, and I will go over that with you. Yeah, I don't mind telling you or showing you, but here wouldn't be the proper place. All right, let me pull up this scan. My goal for what I'm about to do now is just to give you some idea. This is no big deal what I'm doing. It's just to give you an idea of kind of how I might look at a person's scan. So who was this? I had to chop these scans down and take screenshots so that the names of the people won't appear. I'm not going to tell you much about these people. I'm not going to tell you even their gender. I'm just going to tell you what they're dealing with. So this was number 1. Okay, yes. So this particular client works in housekeeping and has been working in housekeeping for about 20 years. This particular client is dealing with massive amounts of pain. This client is always sick. The digestive system is shot. Very sensitive to light. Muscle pain. Exhaustion. And doctors can't seem to find much going on. They can't seem to do much. So let's just take a look a bit at some areas of the scan. All right. So here are this person's meridians. So let's look at, from this standpoint, I'm going to be looking at the double reds or double blues, things that were out of balance both times. And so we've got the heart, we've got the small intestine, we've got the gallbladder, we've got the liver. Now this is a lot. You know, you have this much that's out of balance in the meridian standpoint. When you have this, you know, meridian therapy is my thing. And when I see a meridian or two that's, you know, blue or red, I don't always just nose dive into it because, again, we're looking at the frequencies of these meridians. But when you have multiple meridians that are showing on the AO scanner that are double blue or double red, you're dealing usually with the person whose physical meridians are out of whack as well, because the frequency has been going on for so long that it's touching so many of these areas. I don't think that I've ever, you know, sometimes you can see a person that has most of their meridians are green. I don't think I've ever seen this person with most of their meridians green since I've been seeing this person. All right, so let's go there. So what are we looking at? Let's start thinking about this from the organ standpoint, because we have so many meridians that are out. So we're looking at the organs of the heart. The heart, we're going to be dealing with cardiovascular issues that are affecting the heart. Now, mind you, you also are looking at the pathways. And so when you look at the heart meridian and you look at the small intestine meridian, you see some similarities. You see that those arms here where this shows you the path of the heart channel, and then this shows you the path of the small intestine channel. You notice something that's similar. You have one that is going up the inner portion of the arm on the side, and another one that's going right up the inner portion of the arm, pretty much right, to the same extent, like right next to it. And the paths are very similar. You have the heart meridian that comes up here. Now, in this chart, it doesn't show you, but it then goes right through here. It actually comes, this is the path outside, but then it goes into the body and into the heart. You have the small intestine meridian that goes up here, but it also goes around the respiratory area. And when it goes into the body, it too goes very close to the heart. So both of those are out of balance. One's blue, one's red. I don't really care. I'm not looking at for this from the standpoint of whether or not it's high or low. I'm looking at from the standpoint that it does not have the proper energy level to work. When we get to small intestine, we're going to be talking about, from the organ standpoint, absorbing nutrition. And this is where you're going to be dealing with minerals and vitamin absorption. And you're going to be dealing with well, I said minerals, but you're dealing with digestion, the earlier stages of the digestive process, or before the elimination takes place. All right, so you're coming down here then to the gallbladder. The gallbladder is the organ that's going to help you to break down fats and carbs. And you also then go over here to liver, and liver is going to, we're dealing with blood issues. So you have two things that are happening with the liver. The liver actually sends enzymes to the rest of the body, and it is talking constantly to all of the organs because it's sending and receiving signals. And it's also purifying things, or medication, or even supplements. It all is filtered out through the liver. So the liver has a connection to both the digestive system and the blood, because things are filtered in the liver before it ever gets to the blood. So you have the liver, you have the heart. So again, the heart pumps the blood, the liver filters the blood. There's a connection there. The liver is part of the digestive process, so it's also somehow connected to the small intestine and the gallbladder. And that's a lot going on from just the meridians. All right, so this is the same person, same day, same scan. We're going to look at their vitals. All right, so in their vitals, I'm looking at their vitals now from the standpoint of the easy scan. So everything here is out of balance. We're not looking at anything that did not come back out of balance. So we have the digestive system, gastric absorption, HCl. That's all part of the digestive system. We have inflammation. When we scroll down here to the cardiovascular, you have, well, even with bone density, you have several hits. Now, what do I tie the first part of the digestive function? We match that with what we saw in digestion in the meridians. And so from my standpoint, you have two hits on the digestive system. And then when you get down here to the cardiovascular system, you have another hit to what we saw dealing with the heart and the liver, because that is where we're dealing with blood. And then we get to the liver and the gallbladder function, and there are a couple of hits there. I'm looking at the screen. I just want to make sure you all can even see all of this stuff, because I didn't clip this in the best way. All right, so what do we got? We got liver, or we have digestion, and we have blood, and we have several markers for each so far. All right, let's scroll down here, and we're looking at several hits in the allergies and the human toxins or toxicities area. Now, this person works with harsh chemicals all day long. It doesn't matter to me whether or not it's herbicide. It doesn't matter to me whether or not it's tobacco or stimulants or grass. If you'll notice, nowhere in these areas that I reference the specifics, I'm looking at the cardiovascular system, and my recommendation for heart and blood and cardiovascular isn't going to be determined by the specific marker that shows up. If I'm dealing with heart, if I'm dealing with digestion, if I'm dealing with cardiovascular, unless I am a surgeon that's going to cut into an area, then specifically dwelling on which marker is out of balance from my vantage point wastes my time. It makes me seem like I am so smart. Look, Darryl was able to figure out that Pepsin 1.567 wasn't moving properly. What am I doing with that information? I'm going to do nothing more with that information than I would with what other area is in that same section. I'm looking at what in each section is not resonating properly so that I can match that with the symptom of the client. All right. Want to make sure I press the right one. All right. So from this vantage point, there's not a lot happening with parasites and viruses on this particular scan, but this client typically has a lot going on there. And another thing that you're looking at, and I feel hypocritical because I'm always telling you that you don't have to analyze the scan. I'm appealing to people who feel the need to analyze the scan. I'm just giving you ways to look at things as you analyze so you don't drive yourself crazy. If you're one who's not prone to analyzing, I don't want you to take this information and start analyzing. What I want you to do is to be proud of yourself that you're able to look at these scans and not obsess and say, ha ha ha, look at that Darryl wasting his time analyzing those scans and teaching those. This is where you have permission to mock all of us for getting into this. Just watch us and observe and giggle, if you will. All right. Where are we at here? So, coming down here to his or her comprehensive, you'll see some areas or markers in the respiratory system. And I'm seeing the skeleton, pelvis, sacrum. That doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me, but respiratory does, simply because I know what this person does for a living, and I know that they're constantly bringing in toxins. Nerves, the lymphatic system, I know that this person is prone to problems in that, but it's not specifically the red flag that I'm looking to support at this moment. Muscles, this person is always dealing with muscle pain everywhere, so we have some issues there. I believe that's the last one for that particular one. So what do we see? We're looking at digestion. We're looking at cardiovascular. So if I were looking at a scan like this from a person and I were analyzing several scans or even just this one scan, if I wanted to support this person, I would create a CEPHI that's going to support the digestive system, that's going to support absorption, and I would go into comprehensive. I would probably choose everything in the digestive system. I probably would choose all of the organs, simply because this person has such a level of toxicity that all of the organs need some help. And I would probably run and optimize that. I would run it once and then optimize it several times a day in order to try to help bring some relief and some balance there. And I would probably go to body systems scan, and I would run the circulatory system and I would run the digestive system. And I would be doing that in order to get the frequencies there to optimize. That would be my goal. And I would probably take a look at those scans and just zero past all of the foolishness and go down to the emotions that I see in those areas. Why am I using the body system scan? Because I know from practical experience, and I know from looking at these scans, that this person has issues with their digestive system and their circulatory system. I knew it before the scan. But the scan is showing me that this is a physical manifestation as well as a frequency manifestation. So because I know this, the circulatory system and the digestive system body system scans are in play now, because I've determined that those areas need support. And so the way that I tend to support those areas is I pull the body system scan and I look at circulatory, and I run circulatory and optimize circulatory, in this case, circulatory and digestive. And I would look for the emotional causes or the frequencies around emotions. And I would just create a playlist from those specific frequencies because those frequencies are the frequencies connected to the system in body systems that are contributing to the problem that we're having on the scan. I'm already supporting from a frequency standpoint inside of Cephi. I'm supporting all of these areas. So that's the reason why I'm going to just kind of ignore the rest of the areas. But I do want to support their emotions. And I would create something based around what it is that they're actually experiencing. And I would probably create a Cephi playlist utilizing flower essences from, you know, there's a whole flower essence course. Most of you have access to it. And even if you don't want to watch the whole course, I made cheat sheets where you can just download the manual and look at different out of balance expressions and show you which flowers are associated with that from the Bach flower standpoint, and create a Cephi playlist for their emotions. Now, what are you going to be doing? You're going to be supporting the person emotionally so that the emotions can come into balance, thus giving the physical manifestation the freedom that they need to come into balance, thus helping the emotions come easier into balance, thus helping the physical manifestation come easier into balance. Because one is not more important than the other. You need both of them on the same frequency to heal. What else am I going to do? I'm going to have this person on supplements, and they're going to be on utilizing digestive enzymes with every single meal. I'm probably going to create a supplement pack for them, but if I don't, well, or if whether I do or don't, you know, the same supplements, I would be utilizing probably OptiGI, or did or do use OptiGI with this person. I probably would use a full spectrum B that include niacin that can get inside of there. If you're a Solix person, then Pulse. Blue, along with red light therapy, is an amazing idea to get in there and clean that blood out. If you're an OHS person, BFF is great because you're dealing with blood flow, flexibility. And I would be supporting all of that with vitamin D, a high potency vitamin D, and another full spectrum B. So I would be using a B with niacin, or B6. You could just take niacin alone if you want, but I would also have a full spectrum B in order to help them out. And I'm almost certain I would be using ubiquinol as well, CoQ10, in order to help clean out that blood. All right, so that is an analysis, just a quick, this is just Cliff Notes version. This is not designed to make you an expert or a pro on these scans, or even a pro on what to do, just to give you some idea of how you can look through your scans, how you can look through your client scans, your family scans, and just try to figure out ways to help, ways to support, whether you pick one of these things or multiple things. You don't have to be an expert. You're dealing with frequency, and you're just looking at what's not in balance, combining it with what you already know about the person, and then choosing a path of support. All right. Thanks, Elizabeth, for that vote of confidence. Thank all of you all for being here. An hour and 20 minutes. I think I did pretty good there. So I don't think we have anything else this week. What is today? Tuesday. Yeah, I don't think we have anything else this week. So we will be back next Monday for a energy mastery class. For those of you who might be watching us on YouTube, you can join us. You can always join our family. Well, you can't always join our family. You can only do it when the doors are open. And right now the doors are open. So you can head over to drdarrylwellness.com if you'd like, and join our membership. We meet at least 6 times a month now. When you join our membership, you have access to all of these classes, even the classes that you had to, some of them they cost. So you pay for them individually. You have access to all of those, and you will have access to all of our upcoming classes. All right, everybody. Thank you all again as usual, and have an absolutely wonderful day. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your family, and we'll see each other again in just a few days.